Sean Sobers, UNC. You want it, Carmela. Everybody know you want the formula. All the youths them have the vote for ya. Aye. Because them bad man, me can vote them when the rising sun rise and burn up them. I said a chatty from the red and for the youths them anti-Camela I represent. Alright, and when she a represent, she a fix every box tree and every pavement. Alright, I said a chatty from the red thanks to UNC, everything nice pan the ends. Alright, UNC forever dog, when you voting put it by the rising sun. Everybody come out and support. Each and everybody have to play them part. UNC forever dog, when you vote point your finger by the rising sun. Everybody come out and support. Each and everybody have to play them because part. Them bad man, me can vote them when the rising sun rise and burn up them. I said a chatty from the red and for the youths them anti-Camela I represent. Alright, and when she a represent, she a fix every box tree and every pavement. I said a chatty from the red thanks to UNC, everything nice pants. We for that party crime, PNM say they go fix it. Them just attack and pull up all the tricks. Hey, Sean Sobers, we are lucky this chicks. We are lucky this chick. All place yellow, watch the statistic. Vote for PNM, I will never make that mistake. On the 10th of August is history. Cause everybody they missing shit. Because them bad man, we can vote them when the rising sun rise and burn up them. I said a chatty from the red and for the youths them anti-Camela I represent. Alright, and when she a represent, she a fix every box tree and every pavement. I said a chatty from the red thanks to UNC, everything nice pan the ends. Alright. UNC forever dog, when you vote them put it by the rising sun. Everybody come out and support. Each and everybody have to play them part. UNC forever dog, when you vote point your finger by the rising sun. Everybody come out and support. Each and everybody have to play them part. On the 10th of August, come out and vote UNC. Put the X by the rising sun. We see anti-Camela. Hey yo, Sean Sobers. Heavy.
Bully up in a village. So much kids he sent out to college. And I tell you he's the voice of the poor. He stand firm in the times of war. Or a poacher you voting for. Munilala lion, he's a champion. He's a lion, he's a champion. Raw in lion, he's a champion. Experience full of education. Munilala lion, he's a champion. He's a lion, he's a champion. Raw in lion, he's a champion. Experience full of education. Them try bringing down your character, but as a lion you know you is a fighter. Them things only make you stronger. Or a pooch when they dip in your finger. One thing I want you to remember, he's a doctor, also a lawyer. Who was there in the times of trouble? Who was there in the times of need? Who was there in the times of trouble? Who was there in the
Pack up your valleys there, BNM have to go. Just now is election, we bringing back UNC.
Anil is back to deal with the BNM. And to you on the radio, and to you watching on TV, do not adjust your dial. It is Anil you're seeing right here, live and direct, never went anywhere. Because the Douglas can talk either way. Because the Douglas can talk either way.
Good evening and welcome to the constituency of San Fernando West, where Sean Sobers shall be putting a sound curtail on Faris, Al-Rawi, Al-Rental, Al-Recusal, Al-Tight Pants. And we knew, I must say, I don't have a crystal ball, but many people thought, Anil, what is this Douglas politics? What you call it Douglas politics for? And now we understand why. Because a Douglas does not see race in Trinidad and Tobago. Because my mother is East Indian wearing sari every day of life. She had 2 cupboards of black sari alone to go in court. She had a next cupboard full of everyday color sari to go in grocery, go by the swimming pool, go by the gym, to coach people to go in church, challenge meetings, teen challenge. When she helping charities, she had that cupboard. Then she had 1 cupboard of sari just for ceremonial times, Christmas, Eid, Diwali, Indian Arrival Day, Emancipation Day. And then my father is one big, strong, black African Tobagonian, straight from Tobago, grandfather from Tobago, grandmother from Tobago. So a Douglas, like me in Trinidad and Tobago, don't see no race. We grow up with everybody, learn and live and respect everybody, every religion, every ethnicity. I like all kind of food, from corn soup to double curry duck to wild meat when it's in season, to pilau, to stew beef, to anything, to Chinese food, to kibi. That is how Douglas see it. So then what you have to do is read policy, see who is running the economy better, see who has a better policy for sport, for healthcare, for education, and you vote like that. But I knew that a Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Rowley, who's the worst Prime Minister in the history of the Caribbean, up to now, the election bell has been rung by him, and he had nothing to say about what he could do. Every night, he buys out every station, everywhere, and everybody switches him off. Because all he could do is bad talk other people, lie, innuendo, and nothing about his performance. He's really the worst. Whether you are PNM or UNC or independent, Rowley is the worst. But what he does now, race. All of a sudden, Keith Christopher Rowley, remember his skin is black. He didn't remember it when he playing golf with Butch. He didn't remember it when he fishing on big yacht and so on for Blue Marlin. He didn't remember it when he's smiling and skin in the face when he meeting the queen and other pinks and looking like a little girl in a candy store. He didn't remember that he was black when all his policies suffer black people since September 8, 2015. He didn't remember he was black when he was making speeches to HDC people paying $750,000 for a house. And every time he talks to them, he says he don't want to see a ghetto and he don't want to see sneakers on the wires. Not even understanding, as a former Minister of Housing, that HDC don't build houses with wires and development with wire again. All the electricity and all the utilities underground. He didn't see race when Fitzgerald Hines say all young black people in Laventille East, Morvan, Laventille West, Port of Spain South, Port of Spain North, the young black people, they're lazy and they don't want to sweat. They want everything but they don't want to work for it. He didn't see no race, he find that acceptable. He didn't see race when he suffered Tobago that is 92% black and shut down a sea bridge for the first time in the Republican independent history of Trinidad and Tobago, cutting off Tobagonians from the rest of the world and then telling them sufferation is good, plus I don't see the grocery empty, and his other girl saying she see almond milk. He didn't see black when he take away laptops. He didn't see black when he take away food cards, cutting from 42,000 to 18,000. He didn't see black when he cut the sport budget from 140 million under Kamla to 10 million. He didn't see black when he cut special needs funding from all special needs schools across the board. But all of a sudden, he's seeing race. Kamla call him blank, he says she call him black. Kamla will not call Rowley black. Maurice Marshall was black. Kwame Ture was black. Patrick Manning was black. Patrick Manning created UTT, understanding that our Afro-Trinbagonian students were a little bit behind because of the economic, socio, downtrodden, lower salary. Mummies have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs in order to put food on the table. So less quality time was spent with the children. Manning understood that and created UTT to ensure that young black African Trinbagonians could get an opportunity to go to university and excel and match gas and go on to PhD, masters, and become doctors, surgeons, and so on. Rowley came in and shattered UTT, shattered the budget, shut it down. He didn't see black then. When he shut down MIC and NESC, training young black Trinbagonians to earn big money in the oil and gas, he didn't see black then. When he shut down Petrotrin and put 11,000 workers, 5,389 permanent and 6,150 temporary workers out of job, he didn't see race then, he didn't see color. When he gave 3 million for a golf course, a half a golf course, but to cut textbooks by 100 million per year, he didn't see race. When St. Philip's Primary is a mess, a total complete mess in Laventille, the concrete hole like Rowley face, he had fixed that school for the young black children in Laventille. When he see crime and statistics of unemployment in Laventille, Mova, in Labre, in Point 14, he didn't do anything and pump resources to it. He didn't see black and race when every time he told people, you must wean yourself off the government because everything is the government and the government and the government. He didn't see race when he told black people, look at me. I am up here in Goodwood Park. I am liming with those pinks. I am here in the elite. You, if I can do it, you do it by yourself too. I am not here to help you. Wean yourself off me. He didn't see no race in that. You know what he see race in, Archie? Show the ads and let me tell you something. I, the Douglas, approved these ads and I didn't see race. If you see race in these ads, unfortunately, you might be a racist. Play it, play it.
I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up with the PLM. I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up with all of them. I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up with the PLM. I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up, fed up, I'm fed up with all of them.
Yes. Understand that? Me, the Douglas, I approve those ads. I saw no race. I saw nothing. Keith Christopher Rowley saw race in those ads. Start a ball about people feeding black people with banana and monkey. Keith Rowley, you're a sick individual. You're a sad, sick, desperate human being. A total incompetent failure as a leader, as a prime minister, and as a human being. Race. If you want to understand that when you don't see race, you see policy, you see problems, you see statistics. If you really want to talk, because the Douglas could talk, for the last 5 years in SEA, over 800 children have gotten zero. Do you know what race the bulk of that 800 is, in some years, 100% of them, Afro-Trinbagonians. How sad. Did Keith Christopher Rowley and his black, pro-black, Afrocentric government pump resources into education, extra teachers, extra curricula, extra effort, extra discipline, extra money, hundreds of millions into areas to improve the education of all the young children? No, but you come to talk race now. You see, race is not a big talk. It's a consciousness. Back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, when my father was a scholar coming out of Tobago, Afro-Trinbagonians were the scholars, were the brains. Dr. Williams coming down, even Rowley. Rowley was book bright. He's a dum-dum in politics and a dum-dum in governance. But to take an exam, he and all was bright. Brain must be washed out with Clorox, but me, I know. But back then he was. Winford James. These scholars, if they were 30 chosen, 24 would have been Afro-Trinbagonian descent. Mostly male, because back then women weren't even given the opportunity really to become scholars. How far we have come. Back then the East Indian population was considered functionally illiterate. But you know what the East Indian leaders did? And the Hindu leaders and the Muslim leaders? They realized that they weren't going to get political power because Dr. Williams and the PNM was an awesome force from since 56. They say, listen, we have to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, and education is the key. And they started with little corner schools and donkey cart and build school and shack and move on. And Indian people, East Indian people and the families start to live together, and the elders suffer to give book and candlelight for the young ones. And slowly but surely, the East Indian community in Trinidad and Tobago started to excel in education. So what? You must learn from who do good. I can also say that they excel so much in education, they didn't pay enough attention to extracurricular and sporting activities. And as a coach, I want my East Indian children to play more sport, to get involved in more arts and dance and so on. But it's okay. You can give Jack the jacket and Jim the gym boots. And if East Indian and Satmaraj and them doing good, a Dogra Prime Minister, a Dogra leader, or a Kamla Prasad Bisesa who have a heart for everybody, would I say, hey, how are you doing that good over there? I want that over here. So some of you on Facebook who following Rowley and saying, look at me, I am graduated, I have a master's and so on, and I am done well. Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. But now you must use your masters, and I congratulate you for lifting yourself up as Afro-Trinbagonians in hard times. And you must now assist others to come up too. You mustn't be like Rowley and say, well, I reach fire upon all you do it on your own because I did it. But you want to point at race. Douglas did not see no race in that. If you see race in those things, something is wrong with you. Look within yourself. Of course, there are poor people of all types mixed up all over. That's okay. Everybody needs help. The idea of the ad was to all our poor people, which has increased by 8% under Keith Rowley since September 8, 2015. The poverty rate at that time under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Glenn Ramadas Singh, Skippy Barrington Thomas was down to 16.7%. Before COVID, it was up at 23.89%. A high proportion of those people who fell below the poverty line were Afro-Trinbagonians and the East Indian Trinbagonians. But the point of the ad is that Kamla Prasad Bisesa is coming to take resources and pump it down to assist all those on the bottom to come up. When Rowley cut GATE and shut down MIC and NESC and cut UTT and COSTAT and cut all social programs, didn't it suffer Afro-Trinbagonians? So you're talking race now because you see it in an ad? Mr. Man? Put up the next picture and I'll show you all Why this Douglas Politics is an important show? Because this man, look at this here, and you'll understand that Rowley and the PNM have no authority to talk nothing about race, because they were in power unfettered from 1956 to 1986. And during that period, the East Indian community moved from functionally illiterate to tops. If you all have not been paying attention, the Douglas has, for the last 20 years on average in SCA, the top 200 students, I check it every year, you get an average of 145 to 163 East Indian names. You get about 25 African names, and the next mix up with Chinese, Syrian, whatever, and Venezuelan mix up. That is a serious statistic. When the Douglas, who don't know nothing about race, sees doctors graduate in the pictures, if 60 doctors, I see 46 Indian, 12 African, and then some mix up. In this country, we need that to be 46 Indian, 46 African. We need, when you see lawyers, we need 46 Indian, 46 African. And if it is not so, we must pump resources there to get our children up to the level of competition.
The people of
Don't run
Trinidad
from
today are
race.
stupid.
Do not run from race. Face it. Do not play games with race to stay in power, to give the black man, Stuart Young family, Stuart Smallpin Young, Richard Smallpin Young, and Angus Smallpin Young, $3.7 billion, them black men. Do not play the race card to give Faris Al-Rawi, Al-Rental, Al-Recusal, and a tight pants $61 million, that black man. Do not vote race to give Colmimba, that Dwayne who tweets, control of $60 billion a year. Do not vote race to give Winfred Blackman Espine power over the whole of Petrotrin to fire all. Do not vote Blackman race to give Rohan Sinanan the authority to give out contract and sing with contractor, hey boy, and then give out contract. That's Blackman thing. So don't play no race card, Rowley. Put up the comment to Ray again, because I didn't deal with it yet. You all want to talk race? You see that man there coming down that Titas steps? That is one of the greatest black African leaders in world history. He was the founder of the Black Panthers in the USA and is as instrumental in civil rights movement and rights for black people in the USA as Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. That man was born in Trinidad and Tobago. His name was Stokely Carmichael. Do you know who banned this black leader from Trinidad and Tobago? The People's National Movement, the PNM. Do you know who allowed him to set foot back in his native land and touch his soil? Bastille Pandey, and all you want to talk race? I don't think you're in a position to talk race, so leave the race alone. That's what the Douglas is about. That's what Douglas politics is about. We not on race. Let's talk policy. What you need, Archie?
The people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid.
Play it again. What Rowley say? Let me hear Rowley. That's all right. Rowley, you mustn't call the people of Trinidad and Tobago stupid, because we are not stupid. You pay for a full page ad, $20,000, to put yourself in some Ghanaian prince robes and make us feel that you are a black man and that all black people should vote for you. When you took baby milk out of black baby's mouth, when you took school feeding out of black children's mouth, 45 million a year, 225 million. When you took food cards, 24,000 food cards out of black people pocket. When you suffered children across the board, of which half was black African children, and took away their laptop, took away their sports teams, took away their funding for sport, took away medicine from the hospital, took away their education. You put on a robe and mama guy, people are not stupid, Rowley. Now you talking race? You see race in those ads? The Douglas, Kamala, the UNC, you don't see no race. We see Trinidad and Tobago, the human race, and we see everybody suffering under you, except those in your cabinet who have to recuse themselves because of conflict of interest. Them doing good. So let me done the race talk, and let me get on to policy. Because race I go help you, Rowley. Tobago don't want to see you. And don't put up no more posters about UNC and PDP. Watson Duke is a strong black man and cannot be influenced by anyone. Kamala Persad-Bissessar is a strong Indian leader of Trinidad and Tobago. And an Indian in Trinidad and Tobago and an African is the same thing, same black. When we go USA, Trump go blank, all are we together. So it have no difference. Listen to the Douglas who don't see no race. So don't talk no race. You're embarrassing yourself, Rowley. Because in the history of black people, you will go down as the worst black leader in the history of the planet. You will go down with some names that you will never believe. So moving right along now. I see that Rowley is boasting about a judge say that a case could go on, a civil case could go on. Well, let the civil case go on with the contractors and so on. What does that have to do with anything? Now let me ask you all something this way, because Rowley is trying to play like, look at the UNC, corruption. The 5 contractors went to court, they tried to get the case thrown out, and the case will proceed. I ain't going to talk about the case because it will proceed, and you have to respect the judiciary, let the case proceed and let the judge rule when it finishes. But those same contractors that Rowley is saying, cartel, corruption. All you drive down Labre, Calco all over the place, Calco by Calco. We are going point 14, now Malco with some big truck that is driving the whole road. So it's cartel when it's UNC, but under Rowley is not cartel, eh Rowley? Very good. Well, let me ask the citizens something. Do you believe that when Kamala Persad-Bissessar wins on Monday and becomes Prime Minister, do you believe that Kamala Persad-Bissessar will stop the case, this cartel case, whatever it is, the EMBD case that is ongoing? Do you think so? What in Kamala Persad-Bissessar's past? If you all want to talk Section 34, as soon as the DPP alerted her, even though the minister had asked the DPP on 2 occasions before, are there any cases that will be affected by this? Because Section 34 was to clear out the backlog of cases that was in there, 20,000 cases that going on for over 10 years and so on. The DPP and so on said, go ahead, no big thing, no cases. But when they wrote a 28-page letter, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar read the letter, call Parliament and X out everything, reverse it. One time, action. Rowley's talking about a civil case. Let me ask you all this. Who pulled Malcolm Jones out of court? Malcolm Jones was in court, in civil court, to try and recoup some $3 billion of money that he was in charge of spending with World GTL. Furthermore, Malcolm Jones was the executive chairman of Petrotrin at the time. An executive chairman is like a CEO, which means that Malcolm Jones was actually making decisions and moving and making money and spending money. So he had the responsibility. In this EMBD case, a minister don't have no responsibility. They may have other people underneath there, but good luck to that. But Rowley, Small Pin Young, and Faris Al-Rawi, Al-Rental, Al-Taipans removed the case and shut down the case and took Malcolm Jones out of court. How come you're not upset? On top of that, you know it was even worse? Stuart Smallpin Young was Malcolm Jones' lawyer before he swore in to be the minister of everything, and his brother get lucky to be the best CEO in the world and get $3.8 billion. It was 3.62 plus 2 is 3.82, well, plus 193. So 3.81 billion in government work, just so lucky, coincidence. And his father get a bid, Sagicor get a buy Clico for 300 million less than maritime bid, and call me but tell us that Sagicor's local. Sagicor was never local, it's a Bajan company. And now it's Canadian bought over. You had to get the stocks on the Canadian Stock Exchange. And he said that Maritime is not no big corporation. All of us grew up with Maritime. Maritime is huge and has a great track record. But you all, that's okay. But do you know when they pulled the case, Stuart Young was Malcolm Jones' lawyer before. They withdraw the case. Do you know they didn't even say, well, forget costs now. You know they make the state pay Stuart Young fees and all. And what you all said, anything? Do you know that there was a case going on against Ken Julian for 31 million TT that he invested in Bamboo Networks, despite the minister in the Ministry of Finance, Christine Sahadio, writing him a detailed letter telling him and instructing him as the chairman of ETEC, do not invest money in Bamboo Networks. It is not a good company. You will lose the money. It's insoluble, the asset base. It's too much risk. They're in corruption. Ken Julian ignored the PNM minister in the Ministry of Finance, invest all your money, and the money disappeared. He was in court, civil court. You know what Rowley did? Take him out of court and put he and Malcolm Jones in charge of energy again. And Rowley talking about civil proceedings now like it is something. To the newspapers, all you print a story calling the next Prime Minister named Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Because Barry Padarat was her assistant. Barry Padarat was not even a minister in the last government. All your big investigation will investigate. And you call in Kamla Prasad Bisesa name. And when she say, but what nonsense are you talking about? The government credit card wasn't working. I had to use my personal credit card. And then that had to be from the permanent secretary, repaid by check, management check, or management check. And you all print that? You all couldn't go by the permanent secretary, see the whole tick file and see every invoice and everything for accommodation. When a prime minister travels, is a prime minister special branch, advisor, all kind of security, all kind of thing. 135,000 TT. Should that be about 500,000 when Rowley go and play golf? How much he does go and spend? And that's a story. But you all are not writing the story about Delcy visit and landing here with PDVSA. Right now in the Spanish newspapers in Venezuela, Juan Guaido accused Delcy of coming here to talk energy talks and refinery talks and purchasing. Ansel Roger just said that he fulfilled all 10 conditions for the purchase of the refinery. And condition number 7 says that Colmimbat and Rowley instructed Patriotic that they must sign a MOU with Trafigura PTE, that is Wilmer Rupeti, that is Venezuela, that is PDVSA, that is Maduro, that is Delcy, that is sanctions for all of us. And you're talking race? I think we better move on. All you're talking thing, all you know Marlene in criminal court, all you're talking about a civil case? A civil case, the benchmark is much lower. Criminal court is where it's at. That's where Marlene is. That's where Zephyrin is, who was partying with Rowley in the palace in Tobago, the government palace for 18 million. When the Alsing was sitting down there like a pommy one, like nobody wanted to lime with him. A convent girl, you was liming there for days, isn't? Oh Lord, you limed there long. 2-3 days. Yes, Zephyrin, whose wife was a permanent secretary. 23 charges, liming and partying with Rowley, and all they talking criminal. Rowley to shake hand and lime with Maduro. Maduro and 14 of his cabinet have been indicted on narco-terrorism, drug trafficking, money laundering, and corruption charges. That Rowley best friend. Y'all have no shame. Come out the people cabinet, come out the people parliament, Monday, August 10th, vote UNC San Fernando West, vote Sean Sobers. Al-Rawi lost 30 cases straight. If your child failed 30 exams straight, you might pull a guava whip. Oh Lord. We're moving right along. Run a video there for me now. Let me see this PNM as we get to issues now. The PNM shows that they don't care nothing about people. Imagine, I don't want to set up this. Just play the Barataria video there for my Archie. Let the people watch it for themselves. Play it for me.
I see it. Mr. Speaker, I see bitterness. Mr. Speaker, I see acrimony.
We nah vote for Rottweiler. With the big finger, Fiancé Camilla. We nah vote for Rottweiler. With the big finger, Fiancé Camilla. We nah vote for Rottweiler. With the big finger, Fiancé Camilla. We nah vote for Rottweiler. With the big finger, Fiancé Camilla. Election time, come back, come again. Me and them people, not real, them pretend. 5 years gone, their money them a spend. They don't really care about the little children. Oh God, come again. Oh God, come again. Oh God, come again. Oh God, he's a blank man with a blank plan. UNT are the right one. Future bright like sun in the island. UNT are the right one. Can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. Nobody yet can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. Nobody yet can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. Nobody yet can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. You're back all day and you know you're not bad. Your ball head shine like a Christmas light. Cause your name Dr. Rowley, you feel it too bright. Last you go last this election time. Nobody yet can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. Nobody yet can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. Nobody yet can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. Nobody yet can't get no vote from way. But we vote in UNC. We not vote.
And if you oppose him strongly, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull. And that is what this government is not prepared to. That is what it was. We just were not prepared to accept that.
The people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid.
The people of Trinidad and Tobago, Rowley, are not stupid. They are fully aware that they don't know how you reach that position where you reach, but they are moving forward and they're going to correct that problem. They're going to correct that problem on Monday, August 10th, across Trinidad and Tobago, from Toco, Sangre Grande, into Tunapuna, St. Joseph, San Juan Barataria, Chaguanas East, San Fernando West, all across in Labre, Point 14, you will get the shock of your life. Imagine that. Because you are, imagine, throughout Trinidad and Tobago, you are the most inefficient, incompetent government in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. But with vindictiveness and spite, in a time of COVID, when germs, when disease, when people are more aware of their surroundings, you so vindictive and inefficient. You take trucks all throughout San Juan Barataria to pick up dustbins put down by Saddam Hussein that the people were utilizing and keeping the place clean, removing rodents, removing infection, removing disease. That's what you did? Well, you just lost another 16,000 votes because you're showing your heart and you're showing your soul. And to JW, your little clown, your parents man, that's your politics already. You now reach with your 2O level self, your no degree, your dunce, you now reach, and that's what you are doing. You have hurt the people before anybody even vote. And don't tell me it's not you, it's the corporation. Because silence is acquiescence. Oh, sorry. That big word, let me pull out the thesaurus for you. If you keep quiet, you just agree. You understand now? Huh? So don't tell me it's not you, it's you, PNM. JW, shame on you. But that's why you will get a licking by 15% come Monday. Because this is not no road march when Marshall on sabbatical, you know. This is real serious issues about delivery to the people. Let me go now to deal with some polls. Louis Bertrand, I really hope Andrew Gabriel and them paid you a lot, boy. I hope Guardian Media Limited and Ansa McCall paid you enough, because for you to play with your reputation like this, I am so ashamed of you, Louis Bertrand. I started off when you did your first poll, I tell people, well, normally I know you are a serious scientist, a nice pollster, a disciplined professional, ethical and so on. But as I analyze, I'm getting I gone clear, I gone to the opposite Louis Bertrand. So Louis Bertrand now does a Tunapuna poll. And Esmond Ford, who nobody know. The people in Tunapuna, when they ask them who's the MP, they don't even know because Esmond Ford, Rowley don't even know who's Esmond Ford. The man ain't even get a kobo sweat as a minister, no resources to do nothing to help nobody. But the HHB poll by Louis Bertrand say, and let me quote it, that Ford is better known than Naked. 90% of the people know Esmond Ford in Tunapuna, but only 78% have heard of David Naked. David, national hero, national footballer, Naked. Well, you change me. If I was eating my doubles when I read this, I short choke. I'd rather go in the hospital and they might have given me a COVID test. Now, they say that Esmond Ford is leading in Tunapuna by 16 points. I don't even think Munila leading Rambaros by so much down in Oraputis. By 16 points. And then they said that the PNM has controlled Tunapuna for the last few elections. Is that really true? Is that really true? PNM won in 2015. But the partnership won in 2010. Mervyn Assam won in 2000. How you mean the PNM controlled Tunapuna HHB? Or they just rewriting history? I'm not sure. And again, you polled 200 people. Why only 200 people? Why such a small sample? Don't you understand that if you have such a small sample, a little skewing could go a long way in throwing off all your science? Or are you not interested in your science? Are you here to put a perception that PNM is viable and PNM is winning so that maybe those who like to be on the bandwagon will vote for PNM? Is that what you're doing? Well, they also ask and continue to ask this ridiculous question. Here the question. Who do you think did a good job in the last 5 years? Ford or Naked? Naked now reach 3 months. Naked now get approved. Naked wasn't there. Esmond Ford is the MP for the 5 years. So HHB, what kind of ridiculous, dotish, asinine question is that? And they put Ford did a better job, 41% to 18%. But Louis Bertrand, it got worse, you know. Remember, for the last 4 polls, I told you that I look for an anchor question. Because I love polls, I like to analyze it, information is always good. An anchor question is a question that you know the answer to. So for example, the anchor question in HHB Louis Bertrand polls that were done in Maruga, Tableland, in St. Joseph with the Alsing, and in Sawa Barataria previously, the anchor question was, are you better off today than you were in 2015? Now you out there, all of you all know, and share the live please, because I want to get up to 5,000 while Rowley down like 350. Switch he off. He think he could buy your love. He don't know that he turning off people everywhere. Go you seeing that? And lie after lie. People are sick of you, Rowley. And Monday they go come out strong and vote you out. The anchor question, you know, 80% of people would say, boy, things hard. Life rough now in 2020 as opposed to 2015. My savings gone. I lost my work. I buy too much tires because I busted my tires on the road. And when my mother went in the hospital and sleep in the hallway, things not good. Crime rampant under the PNM. Increased taxes across the board. No grants, no food card, higher poverty rate, things bad. Energy sector in shutters, Petrotrin shut down. 8 companies, 8 big industries shut down in Point Lisas. ArcelorMittal shut down. Fence line communities, hairdresser, restaurant, doublesman, pie man, corn soup man, everybody's under pressure. Isn't that right? Or am I right? Did Douglas making up that? Only about 20% of the real Balize fanatics, who if Rowley cuff them, they go say, yes, I deserve that, cuff me on my next side. Only 20% would say yes, things are the same or better, right? In the first 3 HHB Louis Bertrand polls, that anchor question. In the first poll, 52% of his sample say things is the same or better. I say, wow, 52%. 32% more than what you know is the truth. So that whole sample was skewed. He must have pulled that sample straight out of Balisay House. The next survey he did, it get worse in St. Joseph. It went up to 67% of the people sampled said that they were either the same as 2015 or better off. If you all think that is the truth, well then the poll is correct and the Alsing beating Alloy. Okay. But for those of us who are on the ground, those of us who are realistic, those of us who know what is going on, that could never be correct. And therefore that sample in St. Joseph was skewed by 47%. And therefore every question, the information would be skewed 47% in favor of the PNM above the reality. PNM, I want to only believe them polling. So all you go cry Monday night, they go have real tears. So all you believe them thing, go ahead, but the population won't. In the next poll, he found 40% of the people say they're better off in 2020 than 2015. Where you finding these people? Because I have been walking, talking across the ground. I have met and talked to and discussed over the last 3 months, and then in local government previously in 2019, from November to December, I have personally met at least 75,000 people of all ethnicities, religions, ages, gender, everything. And me I even get a cuss yet. And normally, you know, when you have on your yellow and you go up in some of them PNM nests, you just get some cuss. I just count my cuss. I get 1 cuss in all that time. I went up in Hague Street by Rowley out in Scorpion. I went up in Maloney. I went up on the train line in Malabar. I went up in Grandy. I went down on the train line in Marbella. I went down in Labre Point 14 to 1 cuss. And people wearing yellow proud. All types, all races, all religions. It's all over for PNM once that happens. So the race divide and rule that done. People voting on policy, on performance, on jobs, on heart, on character. But do you know what happened with HHB poll this time now in Tunapuna? Do you all know what they did? Can you all believe what Louis Bertrand did today? He removed the anchor question all of a sudden. They may ask no more about how you feel if you're better off in 2015 and 2020. They didn't print that question at all. Louis Bertrand, oh God, man. Oh Lord, man. So that was your key question coming down. 3 poll. All of a sudden when the Douglas mash up your poll and the country realizing you're playing games with serious things, you eliminate the question. So we can't tell how the poll was skewed. Louis Bertrand, I hope they pay good enough. Because me, I feel nobody want a poll from you after this. Here the next thing now. And I just have all the polls here. All of this was here, right? Right. I have all, so all you know, and he'll not making it up. But he continued also, and all of you all who in politics long time, you know that one of the most important things that a pollster must do is tell you exactly when he took the snapshot, he or she. Because you want to know when, whether it was 3 weeks out, 1 week out, 4 months out. You need to know when so that you strategize and you can adjust your policy, adjust your message, adjust your marketing, get out there and do your work and see if there are any changes. In this HHB poll, they're printing it for the last 12 days. 4 polls, they do a national poll at Sawa, Tunapuna, St. Joseph, and Amaruga Tableland. And not once they tell me when they take the poll. Well, Louis Bertrand, it gets worse for you now. Because the Douglas has some questions for you, Louis Bertrand. Here these questions now, Mr. Pollster in Guardian Media Limited, Answer McCall company that has done very well under Rowley. The whole country suffer under Rowley, but not Answer McCall. 1.6044 billion on average pre-tax profit. Oh God! Rowley good for all your boy. Louis Bertrand, did HHB do a secret poll for the PNM? Did you? Were you paid by the PNM to do a poll? If so, how much were you paid and by whom? Were you paid by check or with cash? How much did Guardian Media Limited pay you, Louis Bertrand and HHB, to do the polls that they are printing every day to mamagai and lie to the population? Did you provide each organization, meaning the PNM and Guardian Media Limited, with separate polls? Or did you charge two entities for the same data? Very serious questions, you know, Louis Bertrand. Please show us both sets of different data. Show us the set of data paid for by Guardian Media Limited, and then show us the data paid for by the PNM. Please show us the dates of each of these separate polls. When did you do the PNM poll for Balize House and for Rowley, Andrew Gabriel, Rohan Sinanan, Ricky Ragunanan? When you did them poll? Show us. Don't hide it. How many did you poll separately? How did you poll separately? Did you poll separately for Guardian Media Limited? What is the total number of your staff? What is your staff complement at HHB? Because I noticed for Guardian, you're only taking a sample of 200. Do you have 10 people on staff, 20 pollsters, 50, 100, 200, 500 people on staff? And if so, how much staff did you dedicate to Guardian Media Limited poll? And how much staff did you give for PNM poll? Please list the separate teams who worked on both contracts for your different clients. What was the sample size used in all 41 constituencies for the PNM paid poll? Because you said you polled 41 constituencies for the PNM. That's a big poll. That's a big greasy poll. Did you use the same face-to-face interview style for both the PNM poll and the Guardian Media Limited poll, Louis Bertrand, HHB? Would you agree that it would be unethical, Louis Bertrand, unprofessional, Louis Bertrand, against the principles of statistical, political pollsters, etc., to sell the same data to two different clients? Would you agree with me with that? Guardian Business okay. So those are the questions for you, Louis Bertrand. Answer them anytime you're ready, you know. Because when it shows, if you feel the Dogra being incisive and dissecting you right now, when you see Monday, August 10th finish, and the PNM has been obliterated from the landscape of politics in Trinidad and Tobago, and goes against everything your poll said, you better find a new work. I think Kamala has an agro-processing tilapia farm thing. You could apply to the Ministry of Agriculture there to grow fish. Because nobody ain't going to be polling and paying you for poll once again. So God bless you. I hope you sleep well at night, Louis Bertrand, HHB. Answer them questions for the Doglana. Let me restore my confidence in you, Louis Bertrand. Because 2 weeks ago I said that I know you to be a good pollster, scientist, a historical lover of politics. Well, here's the next problem now with the Guardian. The Guardian, all of a sudden, Rowley and them didn't print no manifesto. But the Guardian last week in the Business Guardian, the kind of yellow paper, whatever color this is, they start to criticize Kamala. They put in headlines. Kamla play policy and plan unrealistic, all kind. Rowley had no plan, you know, but they may say nothing bad about that. Rowley now send out the plan, no education plan for the children from early childhood straight up to masters to PhD and beyond. No plan, no NESC, no MIC, no plan whatsoever. But they come now, the experts praise PNM agriculture plan, unconvinced about UNC offerings. I want you all to read that carefully, you know, my people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is printed by a newspaper. Now let me just give you a little bit of facts. Between 2001, 1818, 2002, Patrick Manning Prime Minister, to 2010, the average spend on agriculture for the budget of Ministry of Agriculture was $400 million. And that included recurrent expenditure and so on. So there was only about 55 million per year for development of access roads, infrastructure, and so on. Between 2010 and 2015 August, that budget increased from 400 million to 1.2 billion on average. And for infrastructure development, water ponds, access roads, fencing, and so on, that went up from 53 million to 560 million annually under Kamla. The Guardian is printing that PNM is better for agriculture. The PNM who John Rahal shut down Karani. The PNM that cut the budget when Rowley came back in 2015 now. So it was 400 million. Kamla took it up to 1.2 billion. It held there. Rowley come and it went back down to 400 million. The Guardian is saying the PNM is better for agriculture. 2 years and 3 months ago, Rowley said, we do not have enough land for agriculture, so investing in agriculture is a total waste of time. The Guardian is telling us that Rowley is better for agriculture because he had 2 pieces of lettuce. Rowley, I ask you, who gave you animals in Tobago? Is it the Earth Movers Company? Is it the same people who got 1,200 acres in Aripo? Is that for 500 cattle? Or is that a Bluestone quarry, Rowley? You're not answering. You're talking race thing, but if it had a picture with a black child, and if the black child hungry, why they eat banana? My daughter loves banana. She eats 3 bananas every day, and she bright like a bulb. She in your grandson class. I wouldn't say no more. Now, I'm going to take a little break. We in San Fernando West, where Sean Sobers is going to destroy and save Trinidad and Tobago from that Paris, Al-Rawi, Al-Rental, Al-Tight-Bands, Al-Lie down the place. And he's coming up next. So share the live, but share the live fast, because Small Pin, my goodness, Small Pin, you mustn't talk so much. You just make case easy for police to investigate. Small Pin, pay attention. Tell your lawyers, pay attention. The Douglas coming at you hard are coming back.
The people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. Now is the time.
August 10th, 2020 is an election like no other, and you need a team like no other. Hunt, Haynes, Ram, Badarat, Naked, Orr, Tanku, Lee, Rambali, Garner, Lakis, Zakuru, Singh, Baird, Charles, Amin, Bodo, Charles, Walker, Munilal, Hussein, Hoyt, Benjamin, Ragbir, Ratiram, Stowe, Andrews, Indar Singh, Parry, Green, Sobers, Mohit, Obika, Roberts, Williams, David, John. Vote for the candidate and a leader you can trust. Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
Election day when you stay in your hand, it's for the UNC and the rising sun.
What time it is? What time it is?
The United National Congress. Why wait? Now is the time.
And welcome back to San Fernando West. We have in the house coming up just now to do an interview The next member of parliament for San Fernando West, Senator the Honorable Sean Sobers, all your whole. The Douglas something to do first before we hear about where San Fernando West is going to rise. The sun go rise bright, yellow all over San Fernando West. Small pin, you ready, boy? You know 3.62 billion wasn't enough for small pin, brother Angus Small Pin Young. You know in the midst of COVID, the heat of election battle, them going and approve a next 1.9 and take him up Angus Young, NCB Global Finance, from 0 in September 2015 to $3.81 billion in work, boy. What Small Pin call an express conference? Now police, I want all you watch this, because I'm not feeling so good about my police. I love my police, you know. But when I see police waving PNM flag in the front seat, when I see police telling Angus and telling Small Pin Young, they reporting on what Jolene doing and where Saddam going and all that, I'm a little worried, you know, police. So police, press record now, because when I done, all you have much work to do. Well, we go back to the ferry purchase without procurement. And for you all who understand, procurement is a very important thing. And the Central Tenders Board Act is the law of Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM may believe that they passed the procurement legislation in Parliament, but it's not proclaimed. If a law is not proclaimed, the existing law remains the law until proclamation of the new law. In the Central Tenders Board Act of 1962, amended hundreds of times coming forward, there is something called bid rigging. Bid rigging is a criminal offense. In the Central Tenders Board Act, it's punishable by a fine of $500 and 2 years in jail. Jail. All right. Well, let's go now. Small Pin, you call a press conference, You see, some people study law and be bright, you know. Others, they just scrape through and get noticed when they come out. I feel you get noticed. Run it, Archie.
Good afternoon, members of the media, wider viewing and listening public of Trinidad and Tobago. I'd like to thank you all for coming to this media conference at such short notice today. But as a government, we thought it critical to address the ongoing onslaught of untruths, misrepresentation, and naked, blatant attempts to mislead the population of Trinidad and Tobago by a certain cabal of persons who are intent in behaving in the most unpatriotic manner possible. With the government's recent decision, good afternoon, members of the media, wider viewing and listening public of Trinidad and Tobago. I'd like to thank you all for coming.
The difference between government-to-government relationships and competitive tender, who state and show that what took place with Keith Rowley, Stuart Small Pin Young, and Dennis Blue Tablet Moses, that was not procurement. So he calls people like me, I don't mind, if I is a cabal because I call him Small Pin, okay. But here we go now, play the second one, listen very carefully. Go Small Pin.
With the government's recent decision to purchase Ostal and Incat vessels, and in particular, 2 Ostal Cape-class vessels, which are military naval vessels used by the Australian Border Patrol, as well as the Australian Navy. These are 58-meter Cape-class vessels. And I'd just like to use the opportunity, because apparently they want to say or make suggestions that there's something improper in the procurement of these vessels. Firstly, you all know that crime is a major issue for Trinidad and Tobago and for every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. And the use of illegal firearms, arms and ammunition is the weapon of choice of perpetrators against citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago does not manufacture firearms. These firearms are coming in via our borders. The government, in its fight against crime, is providing the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard with 2 new Ostal vessels.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, an emergency or crisis does not negate the need for proper procurement, for proper corporate governance. You may want to do the process faster. You may tell those in charge, the board, the tenders committee, the evaluation committee, the management of the port, you may give them instructions and set deadlines and say, listen, we need to do it fast. But because you believe there's an emergency, it does not authorize you to eliminate tender procedure, Ministry of Finance rules, Central Tenders Board Act. It does not allow you to break the law. So, this gentleman just said that he described what they went through as procurement. Let's continue to see what his definition of procurement is, because procurement is a very well-defined, legitimate, rational, reasonable, clear guidelines from the Central Tenders Board Act and Ministry of Finance rules. Go ahead, Small Pin, talk, boy, talk your talk.
The procurement of these vessels started with the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley, meeting Mr. Turnbull, the Prime Minister of Australia, and his Foreign Secretary in the presence of our Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister, Senator Dennis Moses, in April of this year at the CHOGM Leadership Conference in London. So in the full view of the international world, the Prime Minister and Mr. Turnbull met in the margins of the CHOGM conference along with their foreign ministers. At this stage, the Prime Minister expressed to the Prime Minister of Australia a desire for assistance, because Australia is known as one of the countries that produces some of the best marine vessels in the world.
Yes, sir. A Prime Minister meeting in the full view of the international world, when I know what other world it have, but in the international world, does not begin a procurement process. A Prime Minister may create a policy decision which will then be handed down to those charged with the responsibility to procure the goods and services that will fulfill the policy. So all of that nonsense you just talked there, nowhere in the Central Tenders Board Act can a Prime Minister procure anything, can a minister procure anything, or can a committee of ministers procure anything. So meeting an Australian Prime Minister does not remove the law of Trinidad and Tobago duly passed and amended in the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Furthermore, the Coast Guard, the Ministry of Transport, National Security, etc., if you want to get Cape-class vessels or you want to get ferries, these will be the executing agencies. The Permanent Secretary, a Tenders Committee of the Ministry, a board, the Port Board, the Transport Board, NIDCO, or any state agency under the auspices of a ministry. The policy will be directed from Cabinet, and then they would go through the process. So to tell us about, in the full glare of everyone, Rowley met with Turnbull, I don't care, no one cares, and that does not negate the need to follow the law. So let's go again now. Again, we're taking him slow but surely. We're taking him forensically, Archie. Go ahead.
It set up meetings with Austal and INCAT for Trinidad and Tobago to begin conversations for the possible purchase of these types of vessels. The Prime Minister of Australia also informed the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago that the timing was good because Australian government had just taken a decision to have a military grant to other nations for the purchase of a military type equipment, which would include these Cape-class vessels from Australia, a special military grant. So therefore, the government of Australia is the entity that first alerted the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago to these possibilities.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, that was a Franco-meant lie. A grant is something that you don't have to pay back. Trinidad and Tobago has received no grant from the Australian government to purchase any vessel from anybody. Trinidad and Tobago, you the people, and your children and grandchildren have to pay back the loan taken from the Australian Exim Bank to pay for the 2 ferries and the cutlass vessels. So that gentleman there, Mr. Smallpin, who made a Freudian slip, if you will listen to the clip, you know, because he said to purchase, and then he said, to think about or to procure or to something he said. But then on top of that, he mentioned, because he is trying his best, Rowley and himself, because they eliminated the process, because they broke the law, because they did not follow the Ministry of Finance rules, they are trying to suggest to you that this was a government-to-government relationship. A government-to-government relationship cannot take place with wholly private companies. Prime Minister Turnbull, Prime Minister Bolton, Prime Minister Cowbull, Prime Minister who cannot instruct a 100% privately owned company what to do. No government in any democratic nation has control over that. So there is no government-to-government relation there whatsoever. Austal and Incat are wholly private companies, shareholders. They have government of Australia has zero ownership in them. Furthermore, if that minister could tell us the grant that we got, how much it is, where the money is, we'd love to see it. But it does not exist. Let's go again. We're taking him slowly. Again, Smallpin, come.
Now, one of the reasons to go to these 2 leading international firms of shipbuilders is for the purpose of competition. And that is exactly what we did. We went, you all in Trinidad and Tobago were getting daily reports from the offices of the Prime Minister, inclusive of photographs and video, showing in a most transparent manner the persons and personnel that we were meeting with, where we were meeting, who we were meeting with, and what the discussions were. We reported on when we came back.
So according to this gentleman, transparency and accountability is pictures. Them take pictures and tell me what them say and what them doing. So it's not following the rules of the Central Tenders Board Act. It's not about invitation to tender in the media and international media. It's not about having a board and a tenders committee and an evaluation committee of experts in the maritime field with X amount of years, and then they would evaluate getting the tenders, make a list, create a scoring sheet of tenderers and their scores based on type of vessel, seawater conditions, money, price, and then they recommend to the main board, and the main board discusses, and then they put a recommendation to the permanent secretary, and the permanent secretary does a cabinet note, and the cabinet note goes to cabinet. It's then sent to FNGP, and all the ministers discuss. If they need more information, they bring in the people who did the tender, the evaluation, they interview them and get information. Then it goes back to cabinet on a blue piece of paper. Cabinet could then discuss. If cabinet need more information, they could call in the engineers and the maritime experts and so on. And if they are happy, cabinet will approve. And then the next week it will come on a pink sheet of paper, and before the meeting starts, you will confirm the minute and send it back now to the Ministry of Works and Transport, the Ministry of National Security. The permanent secretary will then do up a notice to the Ministry of Finance for them to seek financing for the project. That is procurement, not, well, we was there and you all saw us, we take picture and we put it on the Facebook, and all you know what we was discussing? You all are not to discuss anything. You ministers are not to procure. Ministers are not to negotiate. Ministers are not to meet with CEOs. Ministers are to stay far from goods and services suppliers. Smallpin, where you get your law degree? In a Rice Krispies box? Go again.
A price was then suggested, and we came up. Incat does not make these types of vessels. Austal also has a shipbuilding facility in Alabama in the United States, who their sole client, I believe the sole client, if not their major client, is the US Navy. So Austal builds vessels for the US Navy on US soil in Alabama, United States. Therefore, they are one of the best-in-class shipbuilders for naval vessels. We came back to Trinidad and Tobago. We invited both Incat and Austal to provide their proposals to Trinidad and Tobago. A cabinet subcommittee was appointed. I was the chair of that committee along with some fellow ministers, and we asked some experts, the chairman of the port, 2 professors from the University of Trinidad and Tobago's Maritime Division, to sit on that panel with us, and we invited Austal and INCAT to come to Trinidad and Tobago. We announced it straight away. We actually, when they came and they met with the committee, we evaluated their proposals, and I can tell Trinidad and Tobago, immediately coming out of that first round of discussion, we saved Trinidad and Tobago over $10 million just in that initial conversation, because one of the vessel builders who was competing with the other one agreed to drop their price to the other vessel builder's price. This is the benefit of competition in a competitive procurement process that NIDCO will then undertake. With respect to these 2 naval vessels.
Now there's a lot there, but I let it flow so y'all could hear the gentleman. First and foremost, police, I want you to take note that his story changed. He did a press conference about 9 days before that, when he stated at post-cabinet that his committee that he chaired, they opened the bids, one from INCAT and one from Austal. They saw that INCAT's bid was lower, and the committee contacted Austal, alerted them to INCAT's secret bid price, and then Austal lowered their price, and the committee then recommended 1-1, like it's dynamite they were sharing out. So y'all police, go and get that too, and they're doing all your work for you. But you hear what he says. So any change in testimony is always a little insight into guilt, all right? Because he learned to change it a little bit. But go and see the original, because it was it's on public record, instead of running, anyway. Secondly, he said competition was key in this procurement process. First of all, competition is open tender, invitation to tender. To tell us that Austal build boat for the USA, who cares? They could build boat all up in the K-Pax. The idea is that you must invite all major shipbuilders from the world to get the best value, best price, best competition, and let experts evaluate it. That's why you have a process, not a man like you. Look, you are a lawyer and you don't even know, you just convict yourself. You so bright, but you telling me you know about buying cutlass vessel. You don't even know about cutlass to cut razor grass up in St. Anne's Day. It only a bush and mosquito. People can't go out and line. Then you said it's competition, but here you. Now in this competition are 2 companies, ladies and gentlemen, Austal and INCAT. Here I am. Well, INCAT don't build cutlass vessel. So where the competition? So where the competition gone? So Austal competed with itself, boss man. Next point. Play the next thing. Oh, sorry, he also said there a price was suggested. Ministers, also you'll notice, ministers set up a committee to procure. Go and read the Central Tenders Board Act. If you want, you could even read the procurement legislation that's not proclaimed. Ministers can't purchase or procure anything, but under Rowley, ministers procure a fast ferry, which turned out to be a slow ferry that they buy for Toko Port that will not exist and has not existed. They then get the Galleon's Passage and nobody want to go on it. And this man now talking about procurement after he and Rowley went to Australia, drink scotch and eat shrimps with them, and then they come here and give him the proposals. He sit down in a committee, talk to them, open price, share secret information, and then tell he save we money. Go again.
On the 9th of July of this year, a report addressed to me as the Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Minister in the Office of the Attorney General, by the Chief of Defence Staff, Commodore Hayden Pritchard. We sent both Commodore Pritchard as well as an engineer from the Coast Guard immediately to Australia to go and see these Austal Cape-class vessels themselves and to produce a report for the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the people of Trinidad and Tobago as to whether these vessels are suited for the Coast Guard's purposes and in particular how they will integrate with the rest of the Coast Guard fleet.
So on the police, a lot there too, you know. He was not the Minister of National Security there, first and foremost. He said, after he and Rowley went, to Incat and Hostal, come down here, get it bid, save we $10 million. He then tell the chief of defense force to get a technical person and go Australia and check out what them already procure and come back and tell we that it's nice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in a proper procurement process, what should have taken place was the chief of defense staff should have done an audit of their equipment, their vessels, and their capabilities. They would have then made a recommendation to cabinet through the Ministry of National Security requesting a certain type of vessels, a number of vessels to fulfill their fleet and whether they could be integrated. Cabinet would have then looked through that report and determined whether they had the resources so to do, and then that would have begun the process. You cannot have Smallpin and Rowley go on Australia, decide what they're buying, conduct whatever kind of procurement they want, negotiate price, then come to tell NITCO, you go and do the contract, and by the way, Chief of Defense Staff, go to Australia and tell them you like that. Is that the way it works? Go again, play again, go, two more, go.
Their purposes in terms of shoring up our borders and ensuring our borders are less porous. Additionally, in this report, they said of their own volition that these vessels are actually integratable with the Daman vessels. The government of Trinidad and Tobago, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, own 6 hostile fast patrol vessels for the Coast Guard. These vessels have not been working. What is wrong with us asking hostile at their own expense? We did not pay a cent as Trinidad and Tobago to the hostile experts to fly their personnel down to Trinidad and Tobago. When we returned from Australia, they surveyed these 6 fast patrol vessels, and they've now put to us a proposal for making those vessels seaworthy once again, and we are going to do that so we can shore up our borders and ensure that our borders are less porous. This is what this government of Trinidad and Tobago is doing in order to fight crime. This is one of the initiatives. I have outlined very clearly the procurement process that has, as every moment you can go back and check, and you will all remember as members of the media that every step of the way this government told the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago through the media exactly what was happening with the procurement of these 2 vessels, these Cape-class vessels that are recommended by our Coast Guard, and they are looking to utilize these vessels to ensure that our borders are less porous. That is a proper procurement system. We are now inviting hostile. A recommendation was made to Cabinet to go ahead with these purchases and to what we've already outlined. The Prime Minister outlined the decisions when we visited the Coast Guard headquarters a couple of weeks ago. We are now asking hostile and INCAT to return to Trinidad and Tobago for a specialized team appointed by the government to enter into the negotiations to bring prices of these vessels further down. It is also important and noteworthy that the financing for these vessels are coming from EFIC, which is the Australian government's arm, the equivalent of like an Exim Bank. They are the ones who are providing the financing, so they themselves must be satisfied that the shipbuilders are doing what is right, and there's complete propriety in what is taking place. If there was any concern by EFIC whatsoever, this transaction would not be going on. They have provided us with term sheets that we will negotiate. Trinidad and Tobago's purchase of the 6 hostile fast ferry vessels, as well as the 4 water taxis, was done through EFIC. When we were in Australia, we met with the leadership of EFIC, and they were happy to report that our credit rating is excellent, and that they would be pleased because we are about to complete paying for all of those vessels, the 6 fast patrol boats and the 4 water taxis, that we're about to complete our arrangements with EFIC, so they would now be prepared to extend arrangements for the purchase of 2 fast ferry vessels by Trinidad and Tobago, and we're going to tap into the Australian government's fund, and I believe it is through EFIC once again, for military vessels, and that is how we come up with the other 2 hostile. So the government of Australia, Trinidad and Tobago, are the ones who invited the government of Trinidad and Tobago to participate in discussions with their companies in Australia, in the full glare of the public, and at the highest possible levels.
Now there's so much there. I'm going to try and go through it quickly. Number one, he said the grant for the cut-class vessel, the defense vessels might be through EFIC. He's so lying. The money is borrowed, you have to pay it back at whatever interest the Australian Exim Bank has given the loan at. Number two, a government-to-government relationship does not begin because two prime ministers meet. A government-to-government relationship is a specially defined area of work and collaboration. It involves companies that are either wholly or partially owned by a government so that they can provide goods and services directly to another government. It does not mean because you borrow money from an Australian bank that that's a government-to-government relationship. That has nothing to do with nothing. You can get finance from anywhere across the globe. You can have competitive tender for interest rates and so on. This gentleman also said that Austal, what is wrong with Austal, who, pay attention, is tendering so-called in competition with INCAT. Austal comes and gives a gift to the government that is analyzing and evaluating the tender by providing free service to look at 6 vessels. So millions of dollars of free service while a tender is going on. So let's follow the process. Police, I hope you're listening. So if you have a tender committee giving out contract to do the highway to Cedros, and one of the contractors come to the tender committee or to the Ministry of Works and Transport and say, hey, I go in and build a bridge for free in Point Fortin for you, plus I go in and pave 3 free road, while I tendering for $1 billion highway. Is that acceptable procurement and corporate governance practice? Did you hear what that man said? That one of the people who were tendering to the ministers of government were invited by the ministers who went and lined with them in Australia and came back there and told them that they will give them a gift of free service of 6 vessels while they are tendering for a $1.68 billion contract. That man said that live on the Population Police, or they don't want to do your work. The definition of bid rigging, go and read the Central Tenders Board Act. What else did he say? He said that they did this in the full glare of the media, but the media, my brothers and sisters in the media, you all are complicit, because that man said all that, and all you ask a question. All you put a headline saying bubble. All you put a headline saying, oh my Lord, the man has lost his mind. Nothing like that. That is the most insane thing I've ever heard. And he's telling it to you with a sort of arrogance, trying to rewrite the textbooks on corporate governance, on evaluation, on tender, on procurement, on competition. Babylon, all you stop waving PNM flag in all your van and go and do all your work, eh? I think all you have one day. We come in, let me move on fast because we have Sean Sobers here. I see Nafisa Mohammed here. Nafisa said the internet and she in yellow. Let me also tell all you, a new cargo boat is coming in December, says Rohan Sinanan. The Kobo Star, which has been working for 3 years under conditions that Rowley described as crooked money. Yet they were only paid because he gave prime ministerial approval and then went to cabinet to get covering approval. So the only way the money came out the treasury was because Rowley approved the Charter Party agreement. And he says crooked money. I don't know. Babylon only don't want to do work. But they say a new boat coming. In 4 months, a new boat will replace the Kobo Star in transporting cargo to Tobago, says Minister of Works Rohan Sinanan. He said NIDCO approached a provider and the vessel should arrive. They have rewritten the books on procurement and telling you in your face. Did you hear what this man said? NIDCO just approach a provider and tell them bring a boat. Where was the advertisement? Where was the competition? Where was everyone allowed to know that we want another vessel, a cargo vessel? That is wrong. But you all just print it. Look, the news, they put it on some little paper, page 16 down in the corner, but the Douglas just find them thing. Moving right along. Maruga to get a new 62.5 million fishing facility. So Maruga for 5 years, all you didn't have no fishing facility. Now when it's time to vote, they come and dig 5 spade. Kamala will bring back regular gas. They may even know that. Fisherman only, regular gas coming back for all year. So you could go long and hard and fish so you don't get paid last. You understand? Kamala coming to help fishermen across Trinidad and Tobago. Rambarat say he won't bring back sugar. Rambarat, you not bringing back nothing, you lost. Vandana Mohit going to blow you out in Shagwana seat. What are you going to bring back? You better go online with Budit and see if you could bring back a Venny. Cool yourself, boy. You clown. What you going to bring back? McClatchy down in Labre. UNC stopped several projects. McClatchy, try to find some voters and people to walk with you down there in Victor Roberts. It's going to be embarrassing for you. Oh my goodness. I see you walking, nobody even give you a little mango to suck down in Library. Library have all kind of mango. Now our neighbor come and say, well boy, you're looking tired. Take some energy, sucker Julie. Nothing, boy. You balling project. Now I must respectfully disagree with the Honorable Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith. He said I never gave PNM permission to use my image. Well, sir, Commissioner of Police, if you did not give the image, your permission to use the image, and they used your image in a political advertisement, they have breached your intellectual property rights, your individual rights. They either owe you money or they have broken the law. So you, whether you mind or don't mind, that's not up to you. We have laws. We have intellectual property rights laws. And don't say, yes, you are 80%. Everybody love Gary. That's great, Gary. Good, Gary. But that's not right. Are you saying that some laws you could just look away from? No, you can't, sir. With all due respect. They cannot use your image, not only on an intellectual property rights issue, but on a propriety issue, on a apparent bias issue, on an appearance of impartiality issue, on a fighting crime issue, on a security issue, on a confidence of the people issue. We must have confidence in you and your force. So if you're in a PNM and PNM going and get a blowout, that's not a good thing. I think you should deal with them. The UNC calls for the police, probe the youngs. All you don't want to probe them. Huh? Oh, all you want to probe. What about Camille? All you probe, she? Camille, what you sign? Your statutory declaration, and you're threatening people who sign in for hampered little grant and thing that you go send police for them, WBC, Camille. What you sign? Where you get the money from? Huh? Can't hear you, girl. Can't hear you. Tobago support before the PNM. Well, let me move on quickly. I'll go save that for tomorrow because I have so many guests to interview. But let me just say that Stuart Smallpin Young put God out his thought and went and threatened Tobagonian and tell them don't put God out your thoughts and vote for nobody else. You know, vote for PNM because I tell you so. Hey boy, Mr. Man, who don't know nothing about Tobago, I half Tobagonian. I could never even dream of being so disrespectful to Tobagonian. You going to instruct them on what they should and shouldn't do when you was trampling all over there, disrespecting Kelvin Charles and the THA, rhyming with Butch, negotiating for sandals, no man's land, going to take $1 billion US loan to give a man to build in Tobago and not even discussing it with the THA? But son, you have no clue about anything. I think you just jump in this politics without even reading a book, you know. And let me tell you something. He said that PNM was so great to Tobago. Remember, you had a great 5 years. Tobagonians ain't gonna forget. You feel you could forget the torture of having no sea bridge and being cut off from the world for 108 weeks? You feel Tobagonians could forget sleeping 2-3 days on a port? You feel Tobagonians could forget buying perishable goods and it going rotten on the port while they're waiting for a vessel to get home across the Tobago? You feel Tobagonians could forget that the economy of Tobago has shrunk in the last 5 years under Rowley by 17.6%? You feel Tobagonians could forget that the arrivals for international tourists dropped from 97,000 in 2014 down to 17,000 in 2018? You feel Tobagonians could forget that domestic tourism from 2014 was 659,000 people and it dropped to 152,000. You feel Tobagonian could forget that and they need you, an elitist who never went to Tobago, never lime in the shade, never went on Charlottesville and eat some fried fish and pull seine. You instructing Tobagonians? Boss man, thank you. You go ahead. But listen, Vanus James, Tobagonian, listen to what he said. Describing the PNM as a virus, Vanus James said Tobago would end up like Laventille and Mova if they remain in power. You all find that's racist? But Vanus James is a black man, an intelligent professor, intelligent economist. There's no race in truth. The PNM has neglected people who have voted for them. Do you know that Laventille East, Mova, Laventille West, Port of Spain South, these constituencies, I think Port of Spain South, one of the Laventilles went in 86. One of the Laventilles, not so. There were 3 seats. It was San Fernando East that they didn't recount. Port of Spain South. Port of Spain South went. Port of Spain South went in. So Laventille East and Laventille West, Laventille East movement have never voted for anybody else. But they have the highest unemployment. They have an MP who is telling young black people that them lazy and them ain't good. But vote for me. All you dotish, all you lazy, all you ain't good. But vote for me. I am the Pump City Rasta and I sweeping cookie broom. Give me that broom. Look, boy. Vanus James, you have to put your foot down now. If you want to see the future that you are heading for as Tobago, if you vote the PNM, look no further than Laventille and Mova. They are uprising now against the PNM. Although their hands are in the lion's mouth, they have crumbled, destroyed the economy. 90% of the people are working in Mova and Laventille are working with CPEP and URP and all of that sort of low productivity stuff. They're all living in eternal poverty down there. This is Vanus Blackman James, eh? See why race? There are no race. You must only vote sense. Words and policies have no race. Education had no race. Sporting activity had no race. Good hospital, great medication had no race. Sean Sobers had no race because he blowing out. Faris is not even a race. Faris couldn't even get more than 16 people in a cocktail party. He catered for 300. And the man so heartless, he wouldn't even package the food and go and hand out food to some people who need food. The man sent back the food. He was so distressed. He was so upset. He slept in his tight pants and get rash. James said the PNM has a vested interest in keeping the majority of Tobagonians employed by the THA. The plan of the PNM is to impoverish Tobago, get everybody working for the government and force you into the dirty racist politics that they're practicing in Trinidad. Let me repeat that in Vanus James. The plan of the PNM under Rowley is to impoverish Tobago, get everybody working for the government and force you into the dirty racist politics that they are practicing in Trinidad. That is why PNM is walking around Tobago with this false myth that the PDP is part of the UNC. PDP, part of the UNC? Watson Duke is PDP. Watson Duke is a strong black man. Nobody could control Watson Duke. Watson Duke, Kamala, the UNC will have to negotiate hard with Watson Duke because Watson Duke winning 2 seats in Tobago. And Watson Duke don't make no joke. He don't bow down to nobody. He is not no Mama Pool. He's not no K-Pax liquor. That's a strong Tobagonian like my father. And understand that. While Rowley may now live in Goodwood Park, my father was the first black man to buy a house in Newbury Hill, which is the extension of Goodwood Park in 1980. But he bought the house, lying amongst those elites, but he kept his feet on the ground and stayed black. As Nafisa Mohammed, the man had changed. He's just the same way he was. Loving people, open house, sharing. Rowley gone up there and have them boys, Andrew and them smoking cigar, Joseph and them, and calling him all kind of name. Come here, my little boy, and think, Rowley, have no shame, boy. I am so unimpressed with you, it's not funny. In San Fernando, I'm in San Fernando West, so I'm trying to be diplomatic. Sean Sobers is a diplomatic fella. He's going to Senate and he's contribute brilliantly, intelligently. He don't stoop to no bacchanal. I don't get any bacchanal. Me afraid no bacchanal. The dog let down any bacchanal. You understand? Right. I tell you, Rowley, call my name, you know, boy. I said, what you call it? Buffing all kind of. Call my name. Boy. James said self-governance was important to Tobagonians, and PNM's Tobago candidates, Ayanna Webster Roy and Shampa Cudjoe, were unable to have that conversation with the Prime Minister. And that's true. They weren't even able to, he don't even tell them good morning. He switched poor Shampa from tourism to sport. Shampa posts up on Facebook. When your own dog bites you, you're well bitten. She pulled it down about 22 minutes after, but the Douglas didn't read it. Shampa, but no big thing, you went in sport. You ain't get no money, you ain't do nothing, no national team, no gold medal, no nothing. You ain't build no facility, no hockey turf, no pool, no aquatic center, nothing there really happened. But you looking better, girl, and you look good in that yellow. Oh Lord, girl, you look good and you kick the ball with good technique. That is all right. Come August 11, you go have plenty time to go and sweat in yellow in Dwight York Stadium. We coming back now. I go save this for tomorrow in Moruga Tableland with Michelle Benjamin. When we come back, we have some interviews. I'm going to interview Nafisa Mohammed. She's looking more comfortable in the yellow now. She has one yellow hijab. She's saying vote for the rising sun. Vote on Monday. Oh Lord. All your, no, it's a very serious thing. I know how hard it is for Nafisa Mohammed. Because I'm a mother good friend. You understand? While my mother wearing sari, she wearing hijab. And them is best friend. And the loyalty that Nafisa Mohammed showed to the PNM party for decades cannot be questioned. And when PNM ministers and prime minister could disrespect a woman of class and caliber like that, and Faris, you scumbucket, you who feel you go on bench press, Sean Sobers could even beat you in bench press. You only bench press in 225. Leah Martindale, my swimmer who won the Olympics 1996, she could bench press 225 3 times. You're not even stronger than she, boy, but you're only flexing. Eh? You flex on a little girl too. It's all right, I go deal with you. And your hand out. You want a flex, boy? When we coming back to talk to Nafisa Mohammed and Sean Sobers, the next member of parliament for San Fernando West. Share the light. We're coming back.
August 10th, 2020 is an election like no other, and you need a team like no other. Hunt, Haynes, Ram, Badarat, Naked, Orr, Tanku, Lee, Rambali, Garner, Lakis, Zakuru, Singh, Baird, Charles, Amin, Bodo, Charles, Walker, Munilal, Hussein, Hoyt, Benjamin, Ragbir, Ratiram, Stowe, Andrews, Indar Singh, Parry, Green, Sobers, Mohit, Obika, Roberts, Williams, David, John. Vote for the candidate and a leader you can trust. Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
Election day when you stay in your hand, it's for the UNC and the rising sun.
What time it is? What time it is?
The United National Congress. Why wait? Now is the time.
And welcome back. We now have Nafisa Mohammed, former senator, and a lady who has lived in Barataria, San Juan, and who's been involved in the politics since she was born. Nafisa, good evening.
A very pleasant good evening to you, Anil. Assalamu alaikum, Sitaram, to all the viewers and listeners out there. And you know, Anil, they say now is the time, and it's the time for change. And I just want everyone to know that if I could make the change, you can make the change too. And sitting here and listening to the issues that you have just ventilated on this program has made me even more convinced that now is the time to change the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And come Monday, the 10th of August, I am a person who I have always been loyal and faithful to my party, but I know in this constituency of San Fernando West, the people of San Fernando West are people who are thinkers. They are people who will go out there having examined the pros, the cons, and all the facts. And what has disturbed me in this entire campaign, Anil, is that here it is, the party that I spent my lifetime in, coming to the public to fool the population and trying to convince you to vote them back into office on the basis of performance for COVID. COVID only happened a few months ago, but what was happening all the time in our country, and that is why I really enjoyed listening to your presentation here tonight, because there are several issues that we have to re-examine before Monday, so that when we go to the polls, we will be going with conviction to know that we are going to do what is best for Trinidad and Tobago at this time. Now is the time for a change, and the government of Trinidad and Tobago needs to change. You know, they say fowl have no place in cockroach business. I have been residing in Trinidad, but Tobago is very dear to my heart. I love the people in Tobago, and for years I have become very friendly with many Tobagonians. And it pains my heart to know that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who is himself a Tobagonian, has failed to deliver on the promises that he made in 2015. Do you all remember when there were promises made publicly about internal self-government for Tobago? There was a whole elaborate process involving legislation and the amount of consultations, and the last thing that the former Chief Secretary did over London was to have gotten a bill passed through the Tobago House of Assembly. And when he went across to to England, that bill was supposed to have gone forward to the Parliament. And what has happened? Here it is, 2 days before an election. That bill failed, it flopped, it fell through. There's no Parliament. So all the work of the Tobagonians and Trinidadians over the years have just gone by the wayside. No, come on. I like Champa, I like Ayana, but they have been unable to truly represent Tobago because of the kind of modus operandi. And where you have central government dictating a pace, a new airport terminal that they said will cost 500 million. All of a sudden last year I heard Minister Coleman saying it's going to cost $1.2 billion. Where that increase came from? And what is going on? Come on, let's face it, coming back here to San Fernando West. I came down here this evening, and Anil, I didn't get to tell you thank you and good night when you came to Barataria just 2 days ago. And on the eve of this general elections, I am here tonight especially to endorse the candidacy of Sean Sobers, who is a very young and dynamic and a very humble gentleman who I have now come to know. A couple days ago, I was in his company and I saw the reception, how people have so much respect for him. Sean is somebody who is on the ground. He is not here in tight pants just running around and trying to fool the people of San Fernando West that he has delivered over the last 5 years. I mean, in 2015, I myself used to admire him. But with all due respect, coming with all the grandiose plans for the waterfront 5 years later, what did you do during the last 5 years? What did you deliver on to the people of San Fernando West during the last 5 years? Now you're walking around with a tall boots and a spade, I think. You're busy going and building bridge and house being painted over. This is taxpayers' money, all of a sudden being used as a slush fund in certain communities where he hopes to get support. And nobody can contradict me on that, because you all are here and you know what is going on. I have had my own issues, and recently when I submitted my resignation, it was well articulated in the statement that I made. And Faris Al-Rawi, as the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, he has caused a tremendous amount of hurt and damage to several constituencies and communities in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that with him coming into office with all this fanfare and public relations obsession, that has caused a major downfall. Because to begin with, he became so inaccessible. Because he was so busy flying all over the place, going to this conference, and he was part of Factor, and you know, like how you were talking about Minister Young a while ago, these fellas now come into the politics. But they have become so big, I think they call it hubris. It's sexy, and when that happens, there's a barrier between the people who they represent. A barrier has developed because you become out of touch with the ground and with the people who you are supposed to be representing. And I have no doubt that the people in San Fernando West have been suffering for some time now. Because when Petrotrin was closed down, I am sure the impact and the effects of that has been devastating to many persons in San Fernando. There are many young people who have graduated, who have their qualifications. What is their position now in terms of getting jobs? What is available? What is happening for the sake of our young people in a place like San Fernando West? The city of San Fernando, all the fancy videos that they have made is a set of propaganda. I heard Faris Al-Rawi boasting about 1,000 people he hired in the judiciary and how many court builders. I want Faris to know that before he came into the parliament, that long before 2010, the amount of work that was happening under the previous administration, but when it comes to the judiciary, there was a very close nexus and collaboration. Do you all remember when the family court came into being in 2004? Before 2010, there were plans. The convent building was already acquired, I think, for the rollout of the family court. When Faris is taking all this credit for these developments, these are matters that the judiciary have already had under their control and their remit. And his role is simply to be the conduit between the judiciary and the executive. He shouldn't be on the hustings trying to get credit for those achievements. Those are matters of, that the judiciary as an independent arm of state would have had to be dealing with. He should be accounting to the people of San Fernando West, letting them know what he has delivered to you, the residents of San Fernando West, over the last 5 years.
That would be a short speech.
Well, let's hear that. But when I saw the videos of him running around from house to house, I mean, he's a very charming young man.
Yeah, and he's running tense, lactic acid all in the bicep. But let me say something before we get to Sean Sobers. Nafisa Mohammed, I was very close to Diane Sukaran. In fact, when I was a PNM back in the day, along with Ian Atterley, we walked and helped her in the constituency and she won and so on. You are very close and dear to Diane Sukaran. How do you think she feels when her son abused you in such a vile manner in public with such disrespectful comments, and then it was doubled down upon by the Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley?
Well, Anil, I know in my heart I feel very pained about the situation because the Sukarans and my family, the Mohammeds, go way back from the days of the late Lionel Frank Sukaran. My father was the producer of the Mastana Bahar cultural pageant, and I have come across some of the brochures that have been printed over the years. And when you see the sterling contributions of Lionel Frank Sukaran, given my father so much encouragement at a time when he was trying to nurture our culture in Trinidad and Tobago to be something that is rich and local and vibrant. So many artists have become cultural ambassadors to our country as a result of these programs. And the Sukarans with Uncle Kamal and Uncle Moeen and my father, they go way back from before I was born. Now, Diane and I became very close friends. I remember in 2001, I think it was, when she contested the San Fernando West seat, I came and walked on the line with Diane. When they had the People's Parliament and they went, and the PNM had gone in various parts of the country, I had to deal with foreign affairs matters on one occasion. And it was Diane Sukaran who put me to sit down in her home and give me a baptism on some of the issues, especially as it relates to oil and Venezuela. And I have always respected Diane. But I and her daughter Rani has been my friend. We worked together in the AG's office for a number of years. But Faris, I don't know where this boy has come from. Where was he? And he has come into an office, and for the 5 years, my attempts at meeting with him, talking to him, because I had information I could have shared with him that could have saved this country so much pain and hardship. But my boy was so caught up in himself, he did not have time. I, who have been somebody born and bred in the PNM, and the disrespect he has shown to me is really painful to me, and I am very disappointed. But Monday is an opportunity, and this is not about me, you know. This is about you, the residents of San Fernando West. On Monday, you have an opportunity to go on behalf of all of us and all who have been hurt in this country as a result of his continued.
I go save you from that. Let it Douglas do it. Archie, I have a video there. I think you have it there as number 14, Archie. Because I think Faris is following his leader. Just like Qasim Hussein is following his leader. Qasim, you didn't tell me who's the young girl in the picture I showed last week there. Stand up behind there. Where do it? Qasim, you getting on like Rowley? Rowley? Tell Darrell Smith wife good evening from Anil Douglas. Say good evening. Just tell her, you know, how you're going. You ready, Archie? Play the video. Number 14, you have it at the beginning there, boy. Raging Bull. You have it? Yes, man, Archie, don't fall asleep there. We in San Fernando West. We in a nice building. Beautiful.
If my colleague from Orapuch East want to talk about party elites, and meet him outside on the pavement. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far.
Take it in your push, a deputy governor.
And you will see government ministers who came into office looking like Miss Howard Chat. Licked in the way, licked in the face, and licked all over the safety place. She got back in the door. We are going to ignore she chat. And coming with a coattail telling you, vote for Kamala. That is tantamount to hugging up a porcupine to go to bed. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the nipple of the prime minister, to rape us with an umbrella, and worse, to open the umbrella after. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things. You got to post like a woman. You got to groom her every day. And they want to know why we have not diversified the economy. Just drink your rum and get on my face. We have a lot of people on the payroll. Many of them produce absolutely nothing when the day come, collect a salary at the end of the month, and make the most noise if their pay is late. Well, let me tell them tonight, many of you who enjoy that back pay, who's shouting for that back pay, you may get the back pay and lose your job. And if it turns out that we cannot encourage and control the recalcitrant minority, the government is not closing down Petrotrin. And in case you were just opening your fridge and you didn't hear that when you closed the door, let me repeat it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin.
Instagram, this whole doom situation that showed me how dotish most Trinidadians is. All over the world. Israel, America, Russia, all these places does use the term doom as a way to express how advanced the radar system is and how advanced the borders is, right? Tell me why big people, especially college children, hear the word doom and the first thing to come to their brain is a Simpsons episode. How dumb all it could be. How dumb all it could be. it come like you had to phrase everything in ABC for people. You understand? You can't say something and people brain can't work on it a little extra. As soon as your brain had to work on it a little extra, people are drivers like they shut down.
Minister Count Embert posted saying he couldn't help but laugh at the idea.
But a dish is a cover that goes, that's a dome. So Kamala and the UNC going to build a dome over us so that no illegals could come in and no virus could come in. They're building a dome. You know I will share everything with you all, right? So, yes, these are the jobs. Dome builders, dome operators, dome inspectors, dome janitors, dome developers, dome manager, dome painter, dome attendant, dome support officer, and general dome service.
You can't say something and people brain can't work on it a little extra. As soon as your brain had to work on it a little extra, people are drivers like they shut down.
That man asking y'all to vote for him, first and foremost, that was just a short snippet of the disrespect that man and the disdain that man has for women and for the female gender. And to be amazed to see one of those PNM ministers, MPs behind him, when he is stating in Parliament for the nation that men need to groom women like ours, they turn out like a pash. Where you get that concept from, boy? Misogyny is alive and well in your brain. You need assistance. We need some of the best psychologists in Trinidad and Tobago to form a panel to interview you. One psychologist cannot be enough. No one could be that bright to deal with all the issues that are ailing you, sir. And then these PNM people, including Karen, just come back the Shera, take off she pink duster and come back and collect she money from the Clico, laughing when the man had no idea what Kamala was talking about, a security system, a dome. He thought he physically going to build a dome with vibranium. And they're laughing. Let me get serious now, because August 10th, not only you have to vote out Rowley to save Trinidad and Tobago, you have to vote them all out. What happened there, Archie? How you swell we, boy? Archie pull me back. You sleeping? Because they want to see Sean Sobers done big. The man's stronger than Al-Rawi, and he don't take all them supplements, you understand? Yeah, the coach knows it's okay. I will give you more time to go and take more supplements on August 10th. We now introduce the next member of parliament for the constituency of San Fernando West, the Honorable Sean Sobers. Good evening, my brother. Talk to the people.
Good evening, Anil. Good evening, all viewing and listening members of the public. We're here in the beautiful city of San Fernando, and we're listening to a lot of the topics that you've been discussing. And for me here in San Fernando, I want to really drive it home for all of you who are listening and watching us live. Come August the 10th, you really have a very simple decision to make. You're going to look at the past performance or non-performance, as the case may be, for the last 5 years. Look at the now plans that someone is going to put before you to tell you of all the fanciful things that they're going to do, all the sud-turning that took place within the last couple of weeks, all the constant promises that took place within the last couple of weeks. Remember the absenteeism for the last 5 years. Remember the pain that you experienced when you went to that office every single day on some occasions to ask for relief for burning issues with respect to your homes, with respect to your children, with respect to employment. Remember how absent that MP was. Remember that you were not given anything, that he was not available, that he was not accessible, that nothing was delivered tangibly to you. Remember that. Because as I constantly tell persons, this is not a dress that you can purchase. And when it does not fit right, you could carry it back. You'll have to wear that same dress every single second of every single day for the next 5 years. This is how serious of a decision it is. And I have constantly told persons, having walked the ground since January, being announced as a candidate, that I hear you. I constantly hear you. I hear your cries for available and accessible and tangible representation. I hear your cries for me to be present on the ground. I hear your cries for us to deliver. And the United National Congress, under the auspices of Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar SC, with all the young persons that have banded together with her to fight inequality, to fight crime and criminality in this country, we stand poised to deliver to you here. And I stand poised to deliver to you in San Fernando West, that I will be available, I will be accessible, that we've went through all our plans to rejuvenate San Fernando West, that we know how the city has declined in terms of commerce and business, and that we want to bring those things back to San Fernando West by rejuvenating spaces, making them more inviting, making the city a safe city once again, by not dipping into the pockets of the underprivileged and the poor, and raping the taxpayers of this country on a daily basis, by lotting out plots and offering it up to business people, letting them go to the banks do the building, offering jobs to people, making sure there's local content, 90% of skilled and unskilled labor coming from the residents of San Fernando, the constituents of San Fernando West, ensuring that all our public spaces, the Mocorapo Street Market, the San Fernando Hill, all those places rejuvenated, the fish market rejuvenated to attract commerce, the library corner, all our commercial activities, all our community centers rejuvenated, learning resource centers in each and every single communities, so that we will not be stricken with COVID, where persons who didn't have laptops would. This is what we are bringing to you. It is a plan together that we have forged over many months of us working and partnering with you. And that's why I constantly ask you for support as opposed to a vote. Because we are in this together. And it is only together that we will change the landscape of what San Fernando West has become, under the absentee gaze of an MP who really does not consider you at heart. That many excuses will be given in terms of being Attorney General and how busy he has been, while you have been laid to waste. And history is replete with examples of persons in more prominent positions who set up their constituency office to deliver tangibly to you. So I don't for 1 second believe those arguments. I don't for 1 second would encourage you to believe in anything that is said. Perish the thoughts that now we have someone who's hanging on a last thread, because we know what is going to happen come August the 10th, and they're spreading all sorts of malicious statements indicating that I am not patriotic, against certain bills in the parliament. And I call upon any person who indicates that to you. There's something in the parliament called the Hansard. Bring the Hansard forward. Demonstrate to the public, to the constituents of Trinidad and Tobago, that I did not vote, or that I was not there, or that I spoke out against it. The Hansard will reveal that on most of those occasions I was not even a member of the Senate. So please, it is clear what you have to do. Juxtapose what you went through for the last 5 years. Consider new beginnings in San Fernando West and in Trinidad and Tobago. Your future in San Fernando West is safe with me, by partnering with me for us to bring about not only change but transformation. And the future of Trinidad and Tobago is not only safe with partnering with Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, but supporting her, and she's supporting you to bring about real change and real transformation in Trinidad and Tobago, and really get Trinidad and Tobago working again.
Well, I want you to just talk, you understand? But all you said, the man was busy being Attorney General. Let me tell you something. I might have done many jobs, right? But really and truly, I am an Olympic level swimming coach, the highest qualified in the Western Hemisphere. Now, if a man or if an athlete or if a woman or if one of my swimmers lost 30 straight races, I would tell them, well, go and do something else. Maybe try hockey or football. This man, Faris Al-Rawi, a la rental, a la tight pants, a la recusal, not only recused himself from cabinet 37 times. You all have not seen him in San Fernando West 37 times. But he recused himself 37 times because 37 times the cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago was discussing things of which he was conflicted, things that involve himself, his wife, and his family. 37 times. Here come and shake all your hand 37 times. Here fix 37 road. Here put water in 37 house. Here fix 37 recreation ground. Here fix 37 house with electricity. Here build 37 community center. But he recused himself 37 times to see about himself and his family. You are hearing the humility, the intelligence, the brilliance of a Sean Sobers. I have gone across this entire country and I have been privileged to interview young, intelligent people, and I feel proud that our country is in good hands with these sort of candidates. So on Monday, wake up early. Yes, we must protect ourselves. COVID, follow the rules. At the stations, wear your mask, put a little hand sanitizer in your pocket, go, keep your spacing, take your time. The EBC will have hand sanitizer, sanitize, vote, sanitize, mask on. It will be absolutely safe and secure. So go out and vote confidently. And when Kamala Persad-Bissessar and Sean Sobers and other members of the UNC form the government, we will protect you by shutting down the borders, by creating a security dome with full satellite, full radar, Coast Guard vessels flagging and creating a net around Trinidad and Tobago. So you will not see poor Venezuelan immigrants coming out a drain today. But so that Gary Griffith would not have to contact and collect and arrest 242 in the last 17 days. COVID is exploding in Venezuela. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Sean Sobers will lock down the borders, put the army down from Fullerton to Caracas. Get the helicopters up, the air guard up, the immigration and customs all across the borders. Shut down the gaps, unlike Small Pin. Talk to me a bit more, Sean Sobers, about being an MP. Because it is my firm belief, and I love politics, that being an MP is a higher order than a minister. In fact, when they said in the audit of live sport that Anil, even though your name has not been called, it happened under you, so you must resign as a minister, I said, okay. And I resigned as a member of parliament also, because I believe if I have to resign from the lower office, which is a minister, I must resign from the higher office of serving the people until such time that everything is cleared. Talk to me about your beliefs about serving the people and becoming the next MP for San Fernando West.
Having walked the constituency for the last couple of months, having interacted with so many different people from so many different walks of life, going into so many different places that I would not normally do, meeting so many people from all types of situations, eye-opening experiences. It is not something that I would trade for any other experience that I've had in my entire life. And I promise to the people of San Fernando West, based upon relating to you, based upon you allowing me into your homes, into your lives, that I will not let you down, that I am going to be available and accessible. And having gotten involved in electoral politics as early as last year, I recognize working in the Moruga Tableland constituency, working in San Fernando West and working in Toco Sangre Grande, that the common thread by many people, many constituents is asking, well, we're seeing you now because it's election time, but we're not going to see you again in the next 5 years. And I knew then that if I wanted to go further into electoral politics, that I needed to come up with a plan to properly serve the people, as our political leader constantly says. And I went out there and I pounded the pavement and continuously touched the flesh and asked people, which is what not many persons do. I know for certain that the incumbent may not have done it. Ask them for their own input. How do you think we can change the status quo that you believe that politicians will be absent after they get your vote? And these are the plans that have been proffered to me from the people of San Fernando West. And that's why I indicate to people this multi-pronged approach that we've come up with. It's not my plans, but it has been the plans of the people of San Fernando West. That the creation of the San Fernando West app will assist us in terms of being able to relate to one another. That I am not going to rely upon the word of any one person in any one part of the constituency. That all of you would be able to indicate to me through the app what your problems are, and I will get out on the ground and solve those problems as best as I can. That we've come up with a way in which we can stay connected. That when you leave your homes, how do you stay connected to your family members? You have events. There's a birthday that you will not miss. There's an anniversary that you will not miss. And we have planned 4 annual events within the constituency that will keep me connected to you. That we're going to start off with the San Fernando West Sports Day that has never been happening in this constituency. That we're going to have a back to school drive. That's the first thing that I'm going to do as the MP come August the 11th. There's so many underprivileged families within our constituency who are now looking to find funds to pay for books on a book list, to find funds to pay for school uniforms, to find funds for stationery, to find funds for school bags and school shoes. We're going to come together as a community and get those funds for those underprivileged families and get those kids out to school. That we're going to have another event called the San Fernando West Street Jam, the first one that we had about a month ago. And what it is, just like you would have done in the past in terms of being a coach, it is bringing youths together through many different communities through sport. And we're going to have them doing this Street Jam. It's a football event that came from the Marbella West train line. That's where the idea came from. And the first event, we had it about a month ago. And we had all these youths coming together against the Trinidad and Tobago cricket team. And what was so amazing at that event is that when you looked at the crowd, you saw a cross-section properly representing the people of San Fernando West, because they came out to support the youths. You had families from Bel Air, you had families from Gulview, you had families from the Marbella train line, Embarcadero, Broadway, Roy Joseph scheme being represented in that football game. Sadly, the youths were beaten by the Trinidad and Tobago cricket team in a football match, but better luck next time. And then we're going to have a Christmas event as well too, because there are many people that the joy of Christmas passes them because of their circumstances. And as your MP, that will not happen under my watch. And last, one of the things that we want to do is to turn the MP's office into not only a place where people come and they don't get relief and they feel dismayed, but an action-oriented space where we'll be able to deliver tangibly to you. And I constantly indicate, and I've taken examples from Siddiq Bash as the past MP. I've taken examples from Prime Minister Patrick Manning as my MP in San Fernando East, by transforming your MP's office into an action-oriented space where you come in to complain about an issue, about a particular state agency, that there were members of those state agencies present in the office, so you were allowed to go to them and get relief immediately. And the MP's office now would be transformed into a space where we would follow up on those issues for you. You come in there, you have a problem with WASA, there's an agent from WASA. You come in there, you have a problem with TNTEC, we have somebody from TNTEC, HEC, Social Development, and we follow up on those things for you. You come to the office, you're going to get relief. We're going to have a jobs bank for our youths within the community who are unemployed. We've linked with many businessmen within the city of San Fernando who have so many vacancies. And those lists will be in the office for you. You come in there, we're going to help you with the resume, and we're going to link you with those jobs. We're going to focus more on our youths within San Fernando, right? Many of them are now getting involved in new and emerging careers. And what we're going to do, we're going to foster those careers. We're going to focus on the music industry, focus on arts and culture, and really package it and sell it to the world. Many companies out there, I call them companies, who use Trinidad and Tobago culture to earn millions of US dollars a year. Trinidad and Tobago has to start to do that for our own people. And how we're going to do that? We're going to package our carnival, package our arts and culture, package our music, and have Trinidad and Tobago arts and culture, Trinidad and Tobago music, Trinidad and Tobago people in every single cruise ship around the world, in every single resort around the world, in every single country around the world, bringing back foreign exchange within our country. We do have a plan to get Trinidad and Tobago working again. We do have a plan to get San Fernando West working again. We call upon the constituents within each and every single constituency throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago to partner and support the United National Congress, bringing back good governance to Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, what can I say? But my interview that always say, boy, I'm going to talk at 12 minutes, and it's ended up being 42 minutes because the candidate's so bright. So what? I like to hear information, I like to hear the passion, and I like people who like other people and want to serve the people. And that's what the UNC is about, not about gallerying. Imagine if Nafisa Mohammed cannot get a phone call or meeting with Al Rawi, Al Rental, Al Recusal, Al Tight Pants. How you go get a meeting? Nafisa Mohammed can't get a meeting. What's left for the constituents of San Fernando West? The girl get a meeting though, but I know the meeting all they want. But anyway, Sean Sobers. Who is Sean Sobers, boy? Where you born? Where you grew up? How you get so strong? Talk to the people, tell them who you is.
Well, I am born, bred, reared, and fed right here in San Fernando. I grew up in Monrepo. I'm 31 years old. I went to the best secondary school in the country. And
You didn't go Fatima?
No, I said the best, not the second best, right? So the best in Trinidad and Tobago, Presentation College, San Fernando.
Somebody ball naps.
As I tell people all the time, I pass for my first choice. So Prez is my first choice, right? Yeah, and I've never left San Fernando. Having come back from the UK, studying law across there, I opened my practice right here in San Fernando, right? And I really want to deliver to the people of San Fernando because it is very hurtful. I tell people all the time, I'm not a politician. I form part of that disenchanted electorate who wanted more for the people of San Fernando, and the only way to do that is by getting involved and to turning the system inside out. And that is what we're doing in United National Congress, bringing real change to the people. And that is what I'm doing as a resident of San Fernando, and I will continue to fight for you as a proper advocate for you in the parliament. I will continue to fight for you as an advocate for you in the cabinet, in the government, wherever it may be. Whatever your issues are, I will champion your causes for you and bring about real relief for you.
Now, the Douglas always has to do this until we eliminate it from the political landscape. It has been part and parcel of our politics since 1956. It has been done in order to keep certain people in power. The division only occurs at political time, at election time. All of a sudden, the ugly head of race comes between our red, white, and black when it is time to vote. Because we were designed that way. We were socialized that way. For 30 unfettered years, the opposition was splintered and shattered by different leaders, taking different pieces of land and moving on and so on. Dr. Williams was a genius. Like some things, don't like some things. But he was the father of the nation. But he also led to a divide that Kamla Persad-Bissessar now is ending. And I want people like Dr. Winford James, who write columns now in The Guardian, the PNM Guardian of Democracy, to stop talking untruths, talking that Kamla Persad-Bissessar pushed for the last 5 years ethnic politics. She has moved so far away from that you will never understand Winford James, because your head is so far up Rowley's K-Park since 1969, you can't see or hear correctly. Does this look like ethnic politics? This big, strong black man here, and this big, not so strong, but mouth big Douglas, half Tobagonian, in yellow with UNC, a crowd with all the masks on, seeing Muslim, Hindu, Orisha, Baptist, Jah Rastafari, across the board Christian, all together under the UNC banner. Sean Sobers, you're a black man, you vex I call you that?
No.
As a black man, talk to me about your interaction with the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Persad-Bissessar.
I've always ever indicated to persons, no matter what is said, at the end of the day, my interactions have always been positive. I've always ever felt as if I'm part of a family within the United National Congress in terms of how we adopt policy positions to proffer it to the people. It's always democratic in nature. And I always tell people in terms of my very first interaction with the political leader, it would have been at a home where we were all seated around one table. There was no head, there was no tail. And the process was really a demonstration of true democracy, where all views were taken, all views were listened to, and then we voted as a proper team, and a policy position was adopted, and we moved forward. That we have always ever been given the ability to speak out on issues that we think are extremely important, and we are allowed that voice to go out there and represent not the UNC, not the PNM, but the red, white, and black.
Sean Sobers, election Monday. It's going to be a high voter turnout. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we'll be COVID safe. Follow all the protocols. Walk with your mask. Walk with your sanitizer. Be careful. Respect the spacing. Move swiftly, carefully, and thoroughly through. Get there early. Get your vote in. Sanitize on leaving. Go home safely. But Monday the 10th of August is a critical juncture in the life of our beloved country. We are ready for change. We are ready for intelligent leaders, creative, young, energetic, big heart, big muscles, without flexing, normal big, you understand? Al-Rawi, not fake flex, right? Ready to move this country forward for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, to create jobs, to create a safe space, to empower our young people. Not geriatrics. Don't criticize young people, Rowley. They know what a security iron dome is. They know that Anguilla did it. They know about Israel. They read books. They know that Tobago does not want to see you. They know that Trinidad and the entire country, all the marginals have gone, no matter how much HHB, Louis Bertrand, and Guardian Media Limited try to tell us differently. Social media is a brilliant thing. Sean Sobers, talk, look in that camera. Talk to the people of San Fernando West. Ask them to give you the support and what they will get in return following Monday, August 10th.
As I have been doing for the last couple of months, every time that I have spoken to you, every time that you've let me into your homes and into your hearts and into your minds, I ask you now again, give me that support. Come out on August 10th. Vote for me. Let us change and transform San Fernando West to be the San Fernando West that you want it to be, not only for yourselves, but for your children. And from August the 11th, when I become your next member of parliament, after I thank the good Lord for his support and for his foresight, I'm going to hit the ground running and start delivering on those promises and assurances that I have given to you. Together, we are going to get San Fernando West working again.
What can I say? We have all kind of different style too. You have Big Mouth Douglas, you have calm, intelligent, thoughtful, caring, strong, respectful of women, Sean Sobers. You have intelligent women across the board, experienced like Nafisa Mohammed, who has never had a problem for one day feeding her family, who studied hard from since she's small to be very bright, very independent, and very capable of taking care of not only her family, but many families in Barataria, San Juan, families who needed assistance. Over the years, Nafisa Mohammed and my mother helped all kind of people. All kind of people, and never, no picture, no show off, no gallery. So Rowley, when you attack that woman, Nafisa Mohammed, I already had no respect for you, boy. But let me tell you, boy, I hope you live long so that I could torture you for the rest of your life and let the world know what a disgrace you are. And that when you get this licking, that will be finger licking like Royal Castle chicken, because that's what we eat. We don't eat PNM KFC. This politics get real. You understand? We will deal with you on August 10th. San Fernando West will vote resoundingly for a real man, not a fake flexer, not a Faris Al-Rawi, Al-Rental, Al-Recusal, and a take care of himself. They will vote for a member of parliament who will serve them and will put them back to work again. Before we go, Rowley, you know I can't leave you just so. I in San Fernando West. We only have a few more days of you. Oh my goodness, what will the Douglas do when you're gone? I'm going to miss you, Rowley. Play it, Archie. Let me... Rowley boy, what? But not only that, to the people out there in Trinidad and Tobago, let me tell you something. I have some pictures to show you all, you know. A picture tells 1,000 words. And you don't have it? I mean, you don't have it, Archie? Nah, man. That the one you do? Find it by Archie. I go talk until you find it. The people deserve to see that, Archie. Look for it carefully. You have it as number 20. I don't know what that means on your list. Don't shake your head, Archie. Come on, Archie. Find it for me. You could look for it because there were some very interesting pictures that Archie put together with some nice tunes for you all. I'm killing time before I wrap up this show because I know you all have stayed long. I want to thank the thousands of you who were there. Oh God, Archie, don't do that. The people excited. Oh God. All right, well, give me the last one. You find it?
Yeah!
They calling him, hey, hey. They calling him Billy Drum, Billy Drum, Billy Drum, Billy Drum from Sawa.
Ram Singh Sharma, the Billy Drum from Sawa. He have a wife and he day with this is.
Oh, you see that last picture? Village Ram in the church too, boy. Mr. Garcia, be very careful, boy. But Sharon, like you are custom poor, I really love Sharon, the lovely, classy lady. Oh Lord, but I feel so sorry for her. In the church and all, Village Ram. Darren Smith, boy. I'm sorry, boy, you should have never let your wife go to work with the Village Ram, yes? Where Trevor says, boy, let me wrap up what Trevor says. I never play a Trevor says video in my life. You have it as number 10, the Archie. Trevor says, take us home. We in San Fernando.
Yes. Oh God, all my prime minister who I love, Lord, you take them. Lord, I love Eric Williams, you take him. I love Chambers, you take him. Oh God, I love Manning, you take him. Lord, I love Rowley. We're waiting on Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, from San Fernando West, on Monday, August, vote Sean Sobers, San Fernando West, vote UNC across the country. Kamala Persad, the Queen is coming to be Prime Minister, to put us back to work together and to keep us safe with a security dome. Not a vibranium one. God bless. Good night. Douglas out. When you're voting, put it by the rising sun. Everybody come out and support.
Each and everybody have to play them part. UNC forever, dog. When you vote, point your finger by the rising sun. Everybody come out and support. Each and everybody have to play them because them bad man, me can't vote them when the rising sun rise and burn up them. I said a chatty from the red and for the use them anti-Camilla I represent. Alright, and when she a represent, she a fix every box tree and every pavement. I said a chatting from the red thanks to UNC, everything nice pants. Before that party crime, PNM say they go fix it. Them just attack and pull up all the tricks. Hey, Sean sobers how we are lucky this chicks. We are lucky this chick. All place yellow, watch the statistic. Vote for PNM, I will never make that mistake. On the 10th of August is history. Cause everybody they missing shit. Because them bad mind, we can vote them when the rising sun rise and burn up them. I said a chatty from the red and for the use them anti-Camilla I represent. Alright, and when she a represent, she a fix every box tree and every pavement. I said a chatting from the red thanks to UNC, everything nice pandians. Alright.